Thank you for joining us, listeners. This is Dan bringing us in, and welcome to Movie and a Beer. We have a wonderful repeating episode to chat about because we watched a movie, and it's Groundhog Day, so you can probably imagine what we watched. But first, we're going to introduce our wonderful friends.
Again. Hi, dear listener, this is Aaron. I'm your unexpected winter weather expert.
This is Blake from before and before and before and
after.
before and before. I'm now your podcasting expert. Dan, you should really fix those levels.
And this is Brian. I'm your insurance agent expert.
Oh, geez. Here we go. Because there is a scene that has a lot of insurance in
I almost
this.
spat out my beer, Brian.
Why does Brian keep winning this part? It's so good.
All right.
Well,
so
you have the setup, straight man
rule- it is rule of
setup,
three,
and then
yeah.
rule of three, unexpected.
So this movie kind of defined the living the same day over and over and over. It's about
a
about a
genre.
man. It's Phil. He's a weatherman. He goes to
Puxatawny,
Pennsylvania, and he's a weatherman from
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And he's there on site, and they do a little on-site camera thing, and this takes place in the 90s.
Yeah,
It was.
with the groundhog to see if
With
he
the
sees his
groundhog.
shadow on Groundhog Day.
And so it's a traditional thing. There's a festival. It's not a big town. It's a big touristy thing for them. And he slowly discovers out of the reality of reliving the same day over and over and over for about 10 years, I think he said.
According to Harold Ramis in the trivia I was reading, he approximates 10 years that Phil's lived there.
Sorry to interrupt, but dear listener, we're talking about the film Groundhog Day. If you
Yes.
haven't figured it out, it's Groundhog Day. I
It
don't
is
think
Groundhog Day.
Starring Bill Murray.
Dan
I don't
said
think
that-
it's
Dan said
I
that-
Andy
haven't.
McDowell.
I just went into it, but it's okay. I mean, because it's the same
thought you said
characters
it's
over
not.
and over.
No,
and
he
over.
didn't say it at the time.
You didn't
I
do it
did
this
not.
time?
I did not do it this time.
He missed it. He missed it.
You
Again.
got
just
the last
playing
5
with you
times.
guys. I'm playing with y'all now. It's all good.
Yeah, so it's Groundhog Day.
It's a fun movie, kind of precursor to the playing the same day over and over and over, as mentioned, forementioned, as it were. It has some interesting actors in it who've been in a lot of other things.
Character actor Steven Tobolowsky, who plays Ned Ryerson.
The insurance agent.
Yes.
We got Chris Elliott, who's a SNL alum.
Chris
He's been in
Elliott,
some okay movies, but he's so funny.
He's
Yeah.
The
great.
paper boy.
That's right. He's in Cabin Boy, too.
The cabin boy.
A lot of boy films.
And there's a lot of falling out of trees and dying in a hospital and jacking up car for old people
Yep.
and
Learning the piano.
learning the piano and a diner scene with the same people 20 times. or
Killing
100
yourself over
times
and
or
over, which sounds like an emo lyric.
300 times or 4,000 times. Because if it's 10 years, it's literally like 4,000 times. It's a lot. He learns piano, all the things he learns.
I just want to know,
Repeating over
it
and over
says
and over.
something about our main character that he tries to kill himself 8 different ways before he begins taking piano lessons.
Correct.
Well,
He
in the
preferred
film,
the suicide to
if we
the
can
piano
jump to
lessons.
why he does it, it's right after he tries to bed Rita.
Rita.
He tries to sleep with everyone.
And she turns him down. I guess it just oppresses him to the point of, well, I can't have this. I guess I'll just see if I can break the loop by just killing myself.
Break the
Well,
loop.
and I mean, that really speaks to the character himself. At the start of the film, Bill Murray's character is kind of a miserable person.
Yeah.
The whole reason he's sent on this news assignment is because he's at the kind of end of his career. He's about to be moved out and on from his TV gig as a weather reporter. And he is kind of a miserable, arrogant, egotistical
Yes.
dude.
Selfish and narcissistic.
Selfish
Yeah.
narcissist. So
And kind of the plot of the film, it's 30 years old. We're not going to spoil anything. His character arc, he needs to be a redeemable person.
Yeah.
okay, so here's the
Right?
question. These 2 beers that we tried with this, are they 30 years old?
They didn't taste like it.
They
No,
didn't
they
taste
are
like
not.
it. They're fresh and new, but
And
they're
what
old.
are they, Dan?
What are they? So we had an Away Days English Pale and yet another IPA. Yet how can you have yet another different IPA from
It's
Breakside?
like the same beer every day, over
It
and
is-
over, until you fall in love with Andy
They've done
McDowell.
100 different IPAs, and here we go again with another different IPA. Because then that's the nice thing about cooking. It's the same recipe, but it's never the same twice. For the most part, you guys are laughing at me. I'm
I
like,
had
no, it's
no-
really.
no
Yeah.
I'm laughing at the
Yes.
I'm laughing at the
It
pause
is.
we had.
Yeah, I love it. Like Dan dropped this like really philosophical, deep
Yeah, I
comment,
did.
and then we all look at each other
the
like,
peanut gallery is going, how can I fit a joke in here?
I don't know how to fit a joke
Yeah,
in there. No, it's all good.
We're
Yeah,
going to
so-
get into these beers a little bit later.
but-
And I would venture to guess this IPA is a little bit different than
It's
some we've
really
had before.
different, and it took them 100+ tries to get it to this point, and it's still not right.
And
Wait,
it's
is that
kind of
real?
like Groundhog Day.
Just like the movie, he tries and tries and tries to do different things and keeps failing and doing it over. And then some things work and he does it over and over. And then some things don't work and he doesn't do those again.
I think they did a good job with the editing to show that passage of time. I think the first time he sits down with Rita and they order their drinks. He orders, I don't remember what, because she orders a dry vermouth with a twist or something.
Yeah.
A double vermouth.
Yeah,
I think was,
like they do that, and he goes, okay. And then it cuts to him entering again, same thing, and just the little differences. But then you're wondering, what did he do the rest of the day? Did he just hang out waiting for it to happen? Did he go do other stuff? Did he? Is that when
probably
he
hurt
learned?
himself
he
again really
found
fast.
out about the boy falling from the tree.
I was about to say he saw that, like, all right, make a note.
Yeah.
Also, I think Phil has a photographic memory.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you do it enough times, you just remember it.
It's the I think it's just repetition. He remembers this because he has had so many days of repetition that are like more than what's even represented on screen.
I could see that.
I think that's about.
So, and he calls himself a god at one point.
That might be
because
like
he
year
knows-
8 because he's really starting to look nuts.
He knows everything about everybody, and he's relived it enough times that he literally, like, he hits on people that shouldn't be hit on, and he's like, he just does it to get a reaction because at that point he knows how they're going to react.
He's
And
bored.
like,
He's lived
bored.
the same
Yeah.
day thousands of times over again.
Yeah.
It's
And
almost Sisyphean. Sisyphean? It's like Sisyphus.
Yeah,
Pushing the rock up
Sisyphus.
the hill and it keeps coming back down.
Right?
You
Yeah.
never learn until you do learn, and then it's like, oh, there's redemption in the end, but is it really?
Well,
Is
so
there-
About
like
insurance.
there's
He
like
did.
yeah,
From the
this
devil.
idea that you're kind of stuck in the loop, and the way to break out of
until
it,
you
meet the one right woman. Because he's met
Right,
a couple
or-
of other women earlier, and they weren't
or
the
get
right.
the steps of life right. I would say that there was more to his redemption than just betting the
True.
female lead.
True, yeah.
But that's what
Because-
happened.
That is what happened. That was the final key, but he also grew as a character.
He had to- he had to grow as a
saved
character.
several people's lives by the end.
He had to learn to just give.
to give instead of
And-
being self-centered and an egotistical a-hole. Yeah.
Yeah, because the movie opens with him wanting to get out of there, being the top dog weatherman, saying this blizzard's going to miss us, and they can't get out because of the blizzard.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Top Dog Weatherman makes me laugh a little bit. Like,
I want to say another word, but I'm trying not to swear because Dan will bleep me.
Yeah, I will
And my
bleep.
content's too beautiful to be bleeped.
Yeah.
So
This,
he predicts.
in the hierarchy, and I'm thinking of this genre. This was, as you guys mentioned, one of the first ones that
I think it was
actually,
the first one. There's a couple of notes about people coming out saying, "Oh, he stole my idea," but this is the first movie.
yeah.
for like a time loop.
I
Yeah,
mean, Doctor Who existed many, many years before this.
Yeah, but that's the Doctor just regenerating, though.
Well, I mean, he does travel back and forth through time a lot.
Yeah, but
he
this is
doesn't
just the
relive the
same
same day over and over and
Right,
over.
and,
so,
and get to change little things to
Correct.
maybe change the outcome.
And-
I mean, I will say I remember seeing this in the theater in 1993
what?
and kind of being intrigued and blown away by the concept.
Right.
Because I don't remember having seen this before.
Yeah.
Nowadays, this has become kind of a trope.
Cannon fodder.
Yeah, we've seen this idea a lot, but this was the first one that I was aware of.
And I'll say, like, the first time I saw this movie, or the first few times I saw bits and pieces of it on television, like, I enjoyed it. I thought it was an interesting concept. And it was like, oh, this is funny. And, you know, Bill Murray's funny. But I got to say, watching it again, kind of the bloom is off the rose a little bit. Because I think
Yeah.
it's been done better by
Yeah.
other efforts since then. And also, like, some of the jokes seem to fall flat. I think some of our cultural mores have moved beyond of like what's
Me too
sexually
much.
aggressive.
There's a
and
lot of
what's-
unasked for cheek kissing in this movie,
right.
and
of
other
touching.
other
Lots of touchy.
Well,
yeah.
and also the concept of finding out everything about a person so that you can seduce
Manipulate them.
them and manipulate them.
You should
That-
take the day off.
Yeah, that is a little creepy to us now.
Oh, I think it was probably would have been creepy to me back then, but even more creepy now because you're like, oh, what was acceptable?
'Cause it's one
in
thing to-
genre was great for then, but not so great now.
Yeah,
right?
it's one thing to check someone's social media and go, "Oh, they're into the Smiths." next time I see them, awesome. But the Smiths, or you know, ask their friends, what kind of movies are they into? That's general. I'm curious about this person, but he's actively doing this to get a particular goal.
Like we need to have a conversation, not on the podcast, but later about did the Smiths redeem rock or destroy it?
Oh, I don't know. I just use that as an example because it's in 500 Days of Summer.
That's a conversation.
Back to the film.
Yes.
So asking a woman what her senior year math teacher's name was
is creepy AF.
And
that's a weird question.
Yeah.
So that the next day you can say, "Hey, I remember you from such and such a high school."
That's where it gets sketchy because he's
yeah.
lying.
Well, he's lying.
It's
totally.
pure manipulation. It's
Yeah.
pure manipulation. Yeah.
And that's why it's sort of Me Too. I mean, this a majority of this movie is that, and him getting through that, and then figuring out that's not beneficial.
Right. Eventually, he becomes truly interested in helping other people.
Well, yeah, after
And-
the 1,000th time of watching the kid fall out of the train,
like
kill
year-
himself, hey, maybe I can
year
catch
6,
him.
year 7, maybe.
I don't know.
But I think he needed to be exposed to other people and understand their situations, understand their stories, to realize he is in fact not the center of the universe. He doesn't need
He's
to
not
be
a
so
god.
narcissistic.
Right.
That other people have stuff going on too.
He became Buddha. He lost his attachments to
Yes.
himself and became in service to others.
Right. Which indirectly, once he focuses on that, then he achieves these things he wants to achieve. He has this relationship with Rita. He moves on to the next day. His life moves forward after that. But he couldn't focus on that as his objective. He had to focus on being a more compassionate, more present,
Right.
more generous person.
Harold Ramis had a lot of Buddhists, and I gotta find the trivia again. People who follow reincarnation as a thing that happens, saying he did a wonderful job showing it. They were really pleased with the representation of how he just kept living the same life until he became better. Also, I kind of wish we saw more of him before he got in the time loop.
Yeah,
like we
'cause
saw a little
there's-
bit of him being a jerk. The original screenwriter, Danny Rubin, had him just starting. Like
Really?
it was going to open on him having the same day, and the audience would be left wondering,
What
why
the
does he know?
heck?
Yeah, exactly. How does he know that's going to happen? How does he know that's going to happen? Luckily, Harold Ramis kind of adjusted it and made it so, we see how he's a real jerk, and he doesn't want to be here, and this place
We
is
need the
fine.
context
a lot of
of
the,
knowing.
the backstory is explained a little bit as it goes on and as he reads it and
well-
told through the coworkers' experiences, like, oh, he's
Larry.
really a jerk and he doesn't really do this and he
But
doesn't really do that.
he was made a little more palatable by the fact that you understood that he was kind of railroaded into this news story.
He
Oh, yeah.
was.
He was a big time newscaster, and he had to go on assignment.
to this
And
little.
you could feel.
dinky
I mean,
little
But he'd done it. This is like the third or the fourth year,
Yeah,
or
he-
however many years.
fourth.
in a
I
row.
mean,
Yeah.
he was his career was tanking,
Yes.
but that made him a little bit more palatable. Otherwise, he was just a jerk. Maybe you wouldn't even cared about him.
But I think it also gave us the context of like the first repeated day was confusing. The second repeated day was kind of like this sort of like fun, triumphant adventure where he goes drinking with some of the locals.
That's
of like,
right.
oh, there's no consequences. We can do whatever we want to do. I'm going to run over a mailbox of all things you could choose to do with no consequences.
In front of a cop.
Well, it happened to be there.
But it's more, it sets us more in what his journey is of like understanding what's happening to him. And kind of what's the emotional reaction of like the first day is going to feel different than the second or third or fifth day. And then by the time we get to the 10,000th day, he's tired. And when we see it, we
so
get
what can I do that's new?
right.
Well, hey,
and he's
I-
bored.
Done it all.
I can be a piano expert,
Which-
a concert pianist.
Which Rita suggests.
Yeah.
She says, that's
I like mine who play instruments.
What,
I like
no,
a
she was
man
saying
who
if I had
plays
just if I had forever to just do whatever, I'd learn instruments, learn languages, and he takes that to heart. Like, that's a really good idea.
And learns French poetry, from
Which I
Oui,
think
oui.
changes him as a
It
as a
does.
person. Like
because then he
yeah.
starts reciting it, and then towards the end, the last kind of day that he lives out, he does all of these things, and he's tired and falls asleep. Like he's not knocking boots. He's like, I'm tired. It's been a long day.
Yeah.
I'm sleeping in my clothes, and she appreciates that because she's like, oh, you care so much.
Well, so it changes where he's not trying to chase Rita. He just became such an interesting, generous, and intriguing man that Rita wanted to be with him.
Correct.
Like he wasn't chasing her at that point. He was trying to be a decent human being and that became more attractive.
In the span of a day, he grew as a person.
He did.
Well, it only took 1,000 times.
I
Or
love
more.
the discussion online trying to dissect the either magic or science behind this. It's not like Gremlins where they say, don't feed them after midnight, don't get them wet, whatever, ignoring time zones and
Don't
all
put
that.
him in the microwave.
I mean, you should. That will stop them when they're being bad.
They will blow up.
Yeah, good. Kudos to that mom. But he stays up till like 4 a.m. And we see every morning, we see him at 6 a.m. when the radio comes on playing I Got You Babe by Sonny and Cher. They make a note about at midnight because he tells Rita.
Yeah, they stayed up.
Yeah, he tells her like each day it starts at 6 and she sees it's 12:01 like, okay. You knew I was waiting until midnight. I thought it was a whole like joke. And then at 1 point 4 a.m., I guess, and he breaks a pencil, wakes up, it's fine. I'm curious to see what the cutoff is.
It would probably be 6 a.m. It would just blink. He'd blink and it'd start
He'd
over.
blink and
He would just start up.
be back again in
Yeah.
the loop.
I mean, that's
that would
how
be
they
my guess.
that's how they would normally treat it. I would think. I mean, at least films.
I'm
that
trying
have
to remember
come
how-
after this have treated
sorry.
it. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say Palm Springs does kind of tackle that.
Yeah.
Like that came out in 2020, and they say it's like a Groundhog's Day thing, but she does like travel far, tries to stay awake, and just keeps rebooting. I forget if they give you an exact reason. They do a lot more science than this movie does.
If I can ask, like, what movies do this, like the repeat genre, the repeat setup in a better way than Groundhog Day?
I'd argue Palm Springs. It's a romantic comedy on Hulu. Came out in 2020. Andy Samberg, Christy Milioti. I always forget her name. It's interesting that the source happens in some cave. She follows him on one of the times that he like hooks up with her, and then she gets trapped in the loop, and it becomes this whole thing of her working to get out, whereas he's given up. He's like, I'm good. I'm just fine. I'm just they're there for like a wedding.
I'm just living my life.
Yeah, he's just
Yeah.
getting drunk, messing with the wedding, and then she's actively like getting online, talking to physics theoreticians.
Theoreticists?
I'm taking up a lot of words today. Yes.
Theory people.
And finding a untested, possibly might work solution to stop the loop.
Correct.
Yep.
And then Edge of Tomorrow is really fun.
Yes, that was the one I was
Hit
going to
me.
mention with Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt.
God, I mean, what's amazing in that.
And just the way they go through each day. I mean, basically, they live each day until they die.
And
they don't all. They never get to wake up. They go through their own death several times,
And that's based on a very specific thing in the movie.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
Prisoners and Truman Show. And
Well, I'd argue Truman Show isn't.
Memento is the same. Deja Vu.
I would argue those aren't
no.
actually.
The Game. I mean, well, they're on similar concepts.
Similar
The
concepts,
Lake
but
House-
not where you have to relive the same
Okay.
day.
Yeah, yeah.
so
over
I-
and over again
so I
and
would
get
say-
it right.
So I would say the next best successful one that does this is Run Lola Run, which is a German film,
I saw that.
I've seen it,
which
but-
is an amazingly good film where she shifts what she does each time she restarts a little bit, learning from what she had done before.
yeah, okay, I'll agree with that.
And that's what it is, right?
I don't think I've seen Run Lola Run. I have to add it to my list.
that
It's-
rewatch.
I'd watch that.
Butterfly Effect is also
I was gonna say Run Lola Run might hold up better. That rewatch might be more enjoyable than what Groundhog Day was, honestly.
Well, I mean, Groundhog Day is very much a 1993 film. It
Yes.
did not age really well,
Right.
but I will give it kudos for giving birth to kind of a
genre.
subgenre. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it definitely did this first, as far as I know.
Right.
It was certainly the most like commercially known.
Liar Liar.
That's absolutely not what the premise is. His son makes a wish that he can't lie, and then he just can't lie.
What's funny is I'm just randomly Googling like movies like this, and it just is giving me these weird
Dan's gonna be like
lists.
Sixth
Yeah,
Sense. He sees dead people, and it's like
Yeah,
no.
the one
Yeah,
time, and then he realizes he's been dead the whole time.
We could all talk about movie titles, and this would be 6 hours long.
All
But
right.
that's
I mean, I'm into it.
So the one that there was
I'm
one.
not. I think
there
our
was-
listeners are not.
There was a horror version of this called Happy Death Day, which
never
is
never
actually
seen it.
I've heard it's actually pretty
a good movie.
Happy Death Day.
Yeah.
Source code.
Yeah, I've heard good things about Happy Death Day. Like it's
Boss
actually
Level,
a fun, campy movie.
50 First Dates.
That's-
Repeats.
For Drew
Yeah.
Barrymore.
Yeah,
Tomorrow.
okay. Yeah, that was cute. That was a cute
So wait, was that
Right.
the premise of like you're gonna do the same date over and over until the date goes well?
Yeah.
yes. Yeah,
God.
that was it. But it
That's
was
why I've
okay.
never seen it.
It was cute. It was cute.
You know, M.
It was
Sandler, Drew
okay.
Barrymore.
But anyway, we had beer.
Yeah, we did. Let's talk about beer.
All right.
So
So
lull. This went. Brian did that better this time than the last 14 times.
correct.
We've been doing it over and over, listener, until we got it right.
right?
And now we're going to talk about beers. Okay, you guys, we had a couple of opportunities to pick beer out. We were at Cerveza earlier this evening, and we were like, hey, I predetermined that we were going to have an IPA from Breakside. And because Breakside's done like 100 IPAs, I figured, hey, this makes sense. We can just keep redoing IPAs over and over and over and over. And then it was
like a whole industry.
Let's not pick an IPA.
Actually,
And
I was like that. I
you
said,
guys did a good job.
I said, how about something that's not an IPA? How about a non-IPA?
Well, you said no to the Groundhog beer I made, and
Correct.
now it's gone bad. So
The
I hope you're
Puxatawny
happy.
Pilsner can just be poured
was
right down the drain.
gross. It was
I mean,
just gross.
but it was made with real groundhog, guys.
Yeah, no.
Actually, Puxatawny Pilsner would be a good name.
It's a phenomenal name.
Puxatawny
It has to
Pilsner.
exist, right?
Wow. You'd think somebody would have done that.
Get in reach with Rusty.
Dan, get brewing.
I know, right? So this is the time of the podcast we're going to talk about beers and maybe go back to the movie a few times while we talk about these beers because they are relevant to what we watched.
There were PBR signs in this movie.
There were some PBR signs. This took place in the 90s, and it took place in a
90s
bar
on the East
and-
Coast. Those people
In a small town
Small
of 6,000
town.
people.
in Pennsylvania, those weirdos love PBR.
Yeah.
Sam Adams was getting big at that point, though, wasn't
That's
it?
Boston, though.
Is Boston not on the East
Boston.
Coast? Forgive me.
Yeah, it's on the East Coast, but it's not in frickin' Pennsylvania, bud.
Pennsylvania is an East Coast state.
Well, yeah, but it's not in Boston.
Boston and Pittsburgh are not that far away.
They're not.
I can drive. I used to drive there all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, Dan, talk about the beers we actually
Cut that out
Okay.
all the way.
No. It's all good. It's good
I drive
conversation.
cars too.
What's up?
All good. The first beer that we had, which was something these guys picked out, because I was like, hey, I know this IPA is going to be super, super, super harsh because I'm sorry, but unless it says that it's a mild beer, but this one on the label doesn't say it's mild. So I was like, hey guys, we looked at Cerveza in their wonderful, wonderful beer coolers.
Big shout out to Cerveza.
Look at like, hey, do we want to pick something off of a label or the style or just, hey, what would go good with this movie? And I think
Something that is not a IPA.
IPA because we knew the second one was going to be like, oh, it's going to
big
be,
beer.
it's not going to be pleasant. And it wasn't. We went with, there's a
intense.
collab, Away Days and Machine House. Machine House, so Away Days is here in Portland, Oregon. They specialize and or focus on British or English style beers, as it were. And then there's Machine House, which is up in Seattle, which also specializes and focuses on British style beers. And so this is like collab on a collab on a collab. So this is two breweries that are doing really amazing beers on their own, getting together and saying, hey, we want to make an English pale ale. There's like no copy on this can other than the name, right?
1 pint, 16 fluid ounces.
There you go. So this has a really
Riveting.
thinner cracker front. It's a little bitter. It's more like mild tea, kind of noble hops that are very British style. It sits very wet on the tongue. We had glasses and we're like, hey, let's pour this into a glass so we can smell it and look at it. And it was clear yellow, kind of medium yellow to golden orangish, not super dark, but nice. Bright white, good head retention, solid foam. The aromatics were mild, which it should be. So kind of tea, white tea, black tea-ish kind of, the nice thing about British noble hops is that they're not offensive. Unlike the American hops, which are in the second beer we're going to talk
Well,
about
I
in a
thought-
moment, which are super
I
offensive.
thought
like
you were
the
going to
people.
say, unlike our main protagonist of the film, I thought for sure you're going to go there because I was thinking, like, how did this beer match the movie? And like, I've had Away Days before. I like this beer. It's a really nice beer, kind of fairly mild, easily drinkable. I don't know, like it didn't match the thought of like, wow, this guy's a jerk.
Yeah, but it was kind of light, like a rom-com.
it
It
was
was,
true.
it was very light.
Right?
Yes.
It did match that way.
the film
5%. Yeah. I mean, it was a mild beer. It had a mild flavor. And Bill Murray's character starts very mild. He's kind of a jerk. He's kind of like, I'm here. And if you're not used to British
Yeah.
style pale ales, you're going to be like, what's this?
Yeah, he's more checked out,
Yeah.
which I think matched the tea leaf. I'm glad you haven't mentioned the tea leaf
Tea
thing.
leaves?
Tea leaves?
Tea leaves.
What's tea leaf?
Tea
Tea
flavors.
leaves. Because I also kind of got a hint of that. Usually beers with that kind of flavor profile I don't care for. Like,
the beer.
I don't love tea that much.
Yeah.
It's in some beers we've had. I thought all I can taste is
Old tea.
All I can taste is foliage.
Old leaves.
Old leaves.
Yeah.
And
This one
you're not
is
alone.
just right.
You're not alone. A lot of people don't appreciate that.
See,
That's why
Aaron?
like American IPA styles are really nice because they don't have that quality or character at all. This one does. I appreciate it. They're doing something different. It is again a pale ale. So the only difference between a pale ale and an India pale ale are
Hops.
no, one is 6%.
The word
one is
pale.
above 6% and one is below 6%.
Really? I thought IPAs just had kind of more of a
No.
hop-centered style
No.
that had
You can
this-
have hoppy
Have you
as
learned
heck
nothing?
pale ales.
Yeah, evidently not.
Brian,
Evidently not.
Brian, get the flogging stick.
No, what's going
only-
to happen is I'm going to wake up and it's going to be February 2nd again.
Oh my God.
Tomorrow.
And you're gonna nail it.
Then I'm
nail
going to
it
nail
this
Why
it.
didn't you
time
nail it
around.
this time for us?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, English pale ales are exactly the same as India
Okay.
pale ales, except for the amount of alcohol.
Correct.
Yeah, you really sold me
No,
on
seriously. So when you see IPA and you can find British style IPAs versus British style English pales, a pale ale is not an India pale ale because it's below 6%, period. That's the only freaking difference. And you can get American pale ale, which again, you can also have session IPAs, which are below 6%, which means it's just a pale ale.
I mean, so Away Days has hops, but it didn't seem like a hop forward beer to me.
There's hops in it, but again, the flavor of the hops they're using aren't the same as you're used to in America.
It to me, I swear it was like more subtle. It
Yeah.
wasn't like this resinous piney.
Yes.
Nothing was
Yeah.
taking my tongue
It's
or my
not
palate
sea
and
hops.
beating a pine board over it. You know,
it's
like
not
They,
the
they
sea
weren't
hops.
butthole flavored
No.
hops.
Yes.
I guess I like buttholes. Okay,
So there's
You,
the letter
you heard it here first.
where it's
dear
like
listener.
Breaking news.
It's
But English
we're gonna go to,
buttholes.
we're gonna
Aaron
go
eats
to
butt.
we're gonna go to Sesame Street. We're gonna say C, the letter C. There are three big C's.
The
when
C
you come
word?
to
Centennial,
IPAs.
Centennial,
Centennial,
Citra,
Citra,
and hops I don't remember.
Columbus.
I'm not doing a
Columbus.
joke here. I thought you were going to say the Big C was like the cracker flavor or whatever.
No, it's
No.
the big
Okay.
three C's.
Gotcha.
Centennial
Make West Coast and traditional American IPAs.
Okay,
and Dan, keep me honest here. I think the Citra is like what's maybe more pine resonant. No, was that Centennial?
I thought it was the Citra too. Or Citra's
No.
more
Citra is
citrus.
named for citrus.
orange peel?
That makes
Orange
sense.
peel, pine.
Okay.
It's the pithy.
Grapefruit.
Grapefruit
Yeah, yeah.
pithy is what you're going to get out of
Right.
Citra.
And then
Yeah.
Centennial is the pine.
Yes.
As Brian grimaces like grapefruit.
And what's our last one then?
It's also pine northwest. It's pine needly. It's more so one is going to have more of an earthen approach,
Right.
Meaning it tastes like I get it off the forest floor, and it tastes like pine needles. Versus it's a fresh pine needle I pulled off the tree.
Right.
That's the real
nice.
difference between those. And there's absolutely and the layers and complexity of those is well documented. And traditional West Coast IPAs use those. Northwest IPAs exclusively use those. Now, the second beer we had is a West Coast IPA that exclusively use a lot of that. So the pale ale that we had for Machine House and Away Days, nice, beautiful, mild. I think it went okay with the movie.
I thought it meshed fine.
It didn't distract. It was a nice sipper. And there is some interesting marketing copy. This is Welcome to the State of Excitement. And this is literally brand freaking spanking new. It was canned like 2 weeks ago.
That's the only marketing copy.
Our good friend. So there's collaborators.
Yeah, we were
Barnard,
gonna ask about
Boneyard,
that.
Yeah, there are like 8 collaborators listed.
Deschutes. And I think that might be the State of Excitement is the State of Excitement may be the line of beers that they're doing because they do different lines of beer.
Oh.
And this may be an IPA line that they're doing and collaborating with these different breweries. And so this is Citra.
West Coast India Pale Ale brewed with Citra, Riwaka, and Idaho 7 hops.
So Idaho 7 is a offshoot of one of the big C's, and I don't know what Riwaka is. I think that may be something that's more tropical oriented because this is supposed to have more of a sweet citrus and orange blossom and like rhubarb kind of flavor than if you were to use one of the other C hops and get more of that grapefruit approach, which is really common. Dry pithy grapefruit is the traditional standard. I think this is trying to do a little bit different, and those two, the Citra is going to give you the citrus. The Riwaka and the Idaho 7 hops are going to give you those other flavor profiles based on.
I
that's
get
what I
a bit
have.
of the grapefruit and a bit of the like the pithy, bitter.
Yeah.
So let's briefly talk about the aromatics because that was very distinctive with this beer.
So I'm guessing they probably did some dry hopping with this. It's not on the can. It doesn't say it. It's like, thanks to the generous donation. So I'm guessing that this is a beer, and there's marketing copy at it. 100% of the proceeds of this beer benefit the Oregon Brewers Guild to further support and protect independent beer in Oregon. So this beer was made in collaboration with other places, and I'm sure they're doing versions of it with each of those breweries.
It's fitting that the proceeds are to protect independent brewers, because this is not a starter beer.
No. So...
Although I really liked it.
Yeah, Breakside's probably donating it. Melitus is probably distributing it. Imperial Yeast is probably giving him the yeast. And the grain, one of the grain producers is listed here on the can as well.
Which one's selling the life insurance?
CMG. No, right? CMG.
Yeah. So
Yes.
when we opened this can,
It was all in your face.
yeah, it was very aromatic. It was very medicinal initially.
Yeah. Cryo Citra will do that if it's fresh, and this is fresh.
Cleaner fluid or medicinal, depending upon which.
It will clear your sinuses. It is that strong. I opened it like a foot from my face, and I still, like, as soon as I opened it, it was like, psh, and it was like, what? Yeah. It was like, wow. Citra hops up in the face.
Intense.
I think
intense.
I'm in the minority here. I thought it was strong, but I thought it was really tasty, and the aromatics didn't hit me that hard. It is still winter. Maybe my nostrils are still blocked up.
It
but
went away after it poured in the glass.
Yeah, once you
it
poured it,
that first open was
so when you
in
dry
the
hop
face.
with when you dry hop with cryo, it drops quickly. That's the whole point. It's
Yeah.
all aromatics, and if it sits for 50 to 30, 30 to 50 seconds, a minute or two, those aromatics are going to drop. You're still going to get it if you swirl and get some foam. It's still going to release some of that, but the initial release of those chemical compounds just pop and drop. Drop it like it's hot.
Well, they're volatile, right? Because they kind of
Correct.
explode out and then they dissipate.
Yelp.
just like a groundhog. No, I really like this. I don't know if it matched the movie as well, but maybe it's because I opened mine after you guys and had the heads up of, oh, it's really aromatic, and I opened it expecting like smelling vinegar in a coffee maker to clean it out. But I didn't get that. I got, it's present, but it's not that bad.
So this is not a starter beer. You've been warned. This is a strong.
I like how you warned us
hop.
after we drank ours.
Yeah, I know. I didn't want to say anything to ruin it for you. I was like, here we go.
Good call.
I know there's some non-hop heads here at the table. There's a hop head on to my left and a non-hop head to my right.
Oh,
And-
no.
And I'm
I'm
stuck in
not
the
a
middle with
hophead.
you, Dan.
Well, yeah, no.
I love that song.
There's some interesting activities going on with this beer. It does hit hard on the nose and up front.
It does, but
Once
the
it warms
flavor
up,
is fine.
The flavors aren't.
I mean,
so
I'm not a hophead, but it
hard.
was okay.
And that's an
I
interesting.
prefer the first beer over it, but it was
Yeah.
fine for me.
All right.
And that's, I think, the state of excitement. You're going to get like, bam, up in the face, and then it's just going to be mild.
I like my excitement to last longer.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you like that tea flavor better?
Yeah, I do.
You like it to last?
I do. I want to just draw it out.
You want to learn on the piano and just
And French
And
poetry
French
from
poetry.
the 19th
You just want to
century.
taste it over and over and over again.
And some donuts.
And eat all of the desserts.
all
Yeah,
of the desserts.
all the
That's right.
And then punch Ned Ryerson right in the face.
Who wouldn't?
Many times.
Stephen
That would be
Tobolowsky is
so
a national
fun.
treasure.
All right. An interesting beer. I had not had this before. Our good friend Deb, shout out to her, got this for me last week, and she said they literally just canned it. And I looked at the date. I was like, yeah, this is like a
Nice.
2-week-old beer. This is as fresh if you're going to do Citra hop,
Yeah.
cryo, anything. You get it as new as you can and as fresh as you can because it's going to express as much as the brewer wants it to versus if it's sitting, room temp or, just wherever, it's eventually going to drop out. All those
Stashed in a
volatile,
boiler room.
all those volatile aromatics are going to just go poof and not work.
Well, they kind of like denature over time, and you'll get a
Yeah.
different beer 6 months from now or
Correct.
12 months from now. If you put it in front of a radiator,
Yeah,
2
yeah.
months from now.
So what other beers would you have suggested for this movie then?
PBR.
Because there was a sign that said PBR.
There was.
It won a blue ribbon for worst tasting beer.
Yes.
my
Worst
favorite-
tasting water.
Damn it. I ruined my own joke.
There was
Thank you, Dan.
was also a reference to cookies and cream ice cream in this movie.
I thought it was Rocky Road.
Was it Rocky Road?
Yeah.
It was Rocky
You're right.
Road.
It was Rocky Road.
Because I love cookies and cream.
Me too.
Yeah, it was Rocky
Hell yeah.
Road.
I would have cookies and cream ice cream with this
Yeah.
movie.
I
that's
would
not a
have
beer.
I would have a really old skunked beer that you would keep puking up into your mouth so you could taste it over and over again.
Why are you punishing yourself, Brian?
No, I'm kidding.
This is Brian. Brian's the Riddler. We're gonna be drinking beers in the future, and I'll just start barfing like, "Oh no, he got us!"
He warned us that one time.
That one.
Why didn't we listen?
You knew.
Yeah. I don't know. There's an awful lot of things to be said for beers that can go interesting different directions. I don't have any idea what I would drink with this movie because I saw it a long, long time ago. I didn't remember it. And then we're watching it and I'm just like, oh, it's kind of boring and slow in a lot of times because it's like replay.
Yeah.
And they replay those scenes over and over and over. And you had mentioned that like at some point in time, which I was watching for because you mentioned it right off, Bill Murray got bit by
The groundhog.
the groundhog. It
was
was
when
he
he's in
was
the
driving
truck,
the truck.
when it was crawling over the wheel, and he's saying, "Don't drive angry," because it was trying to escape, and it bit him. He had to get anti-rabies shots.
Oh my gosh. And he like drove the truck into and it flipped and it blew up and it was like, oh, that was I think the first time he tried to kill himself.
Yeah, that was the first suicide attempt.
Yeah, that started off the suicide montage.
Trigger warning, audience.
Yes.
This movie has suicide attempts.
Multiple.
But at least it's not like an indie A24 movie where it's a bathtub full of blood. It's him sipping from a truck doing a silly little wave. And
I think the first one was him taking the toaster upstairs.
that one's kind of intense.
He takes the toaster
But it's
upstairs.
full of
He
toast,
unplugs
which is
it,
fun.
takes it
Into the
upstairs,
bath.
plugs it in, and drops it into the
No, I
tub
thought
with
the
him.
truck was before the toaster.
Was
I think it
I
was
don't know.
toaster, roof, truck, another one.
And
I don't
another. They show
Yeah.
like
He jumped
like a
off
dozen
out of a
them.
building.
He stepped out in front of a vehicle. He intentionally, he does that over
He
and
fought
over and
ghosts. Wait a minute.
over. Yeah.
He does
went
this
to
a
Tokyo.
lot. He
Wait a
does
minute.
this a lot before he becomes a decent person. That's a different movie, man. But
They're both different movies.
he does this a lot before he becomes a decent person and tries to like save this, this homeless guy.
He's just old. People die when they get old.
He couldn't accept
They
it.
sure do. So
He was a god.
He tried. He tried over and over and over. And it's just like, I'm going to feed you some food. I'm going to give you mouth to mouth out in the back alley, which is sketch.
if you gotta save somebody,
People can die wherever, Dan.
Could have just taken him to the freaking
No,
hospital.
if you're saving somebody, it doesn't matter if it's a back alley or not. Like
Well,
CPR is CPR wherever you are,
All right. He was
unless it's
trying.
like the bottom of a pool. That's a bad idea.
Welcome to CPR and a beer. We're going to get so drunk that one of us has to have CPR done on them.
God, I don't want to record this anymore.
No.
All right, so bottom line, do we recommend this film?
5 out of 10. It's
I would recommend Palm Springs or Edge of Tomorrow over this one.
Yeah, there's some better, well done, I'm living it over and over and over day
Which
movies.
ironic because Palm Springs uses this as a way to springboard to a better territory because they reference it saying, "Yeah, it's a Groundhog's Day thing."
Yeah.
to just cut out all the what's happening, and then go
This
into
is
the
where it all
character
started.
development.
Right.
Yeah,
But it does not hold up very well.
I'd
Yeah.
say if you haven't seen anything else in the genre, if it has that novelty effect that like I had when I
Yeah.
first watched it
Yeah,
in the 90s.
I liked it when I first saw it.
Yeah. And so
Same.
like if you're not familiar with any other movies that are in the same kind of subgenre, it might be more enjoyable. I mean, there is still some kind of dated stuff of like our
They don't have
protagonist.
cell phones.
They don't have cell phones. Our protagonist kisses another character while they're asleep.
Yeah.
like and so there's some
Me
like
Too shit going
consent,
on,
Me
yeah.
Too stuff that's a little uncomfortable to watch. But I don't know, 5 out of 10. It's creative. It was groundbreaking, I think, in
Yeah.
the time it was recorded. Bill Murray, I have a ton of appreciation and respect for as a comedic actor. I love a lot of his other work, and he's not bad in this.
But he's not great.
But he's not at his best.
He's
not at his
very
best.
much kind of. This was
Right before his slump, right?
Yeah, he kind of vanished for a while, and this was kind of the last film before he vanished.
Apparently,
And reappeared.
what was it? He was going through a divorce during this movie, and he kept, since he was like stressed out and wasn't sleeping, kept bothering Harold Ramis, the director and co-writer, about details till like 4 a.m. So Harold sent the other co-writer to babysit Bill to talk about it, and they didn't talk for years because of it.
Wow.
Because the 70s and 80s were a big time for like men in general, and it seems like in like the comedy world to just, all right, I'm done talking to you for ages. Just weird grudges out of nowhere.
Well, I
Or at least
mean,
from my hair, like about the early SNL and all that. But
people with like low emotional intelligence still do that.
yeah,
but,
yeah.
But I think I don't know.
But yeah, so maybe he just
But-
got burned out, needed a break. But
But
he's-
Bill Murray did like he had this sort of coda with his career for like Life Aquatic. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, well, he came back in a major way with Lost in Translation.
Lost in Translation's a fantastic movie. I loved him in that.
Yeah.
I'm
thinking about his earlier stuff. Like he was terrific in Ghostbusters.
Well, like
And
Caddyshack.
Stripes
Caddyshack is
and
phenomenal.
Caddyshack. Yeah.
That's the fact, Jack. Even though we haven't done that for the podcast, it is a good movie.
That's a great movie. We have done Caddyshack.
Yes, we have.
Which I always go to
and Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters. We have done Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
We should watch it again.
We should do Garfield.
And again. God, no.
I know.
I'm not. No, I don't want to do that.
No.
But he voiced Garfield.
We're sort of getting off track a little bit. So
Yes.
find some interesting beers, something light. I think, I'm not scoffing at your PBR suggestion because this is like, it's just an everyday common, do it over and over and over. And
Frankly,
the reason I did the IPA thing was because it was like, this is a brewery that's done 100 of them.
Yeah.
And yet they're doing it again with something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Over and over and over.
I mean, this is a perfect movie to put on behind the bar at like my dream bar would be just playing movies behind or on a big TV, no sound. Just something to look at while you're hanging out and drinking.
There's a lot of bars that do that.
Well, yeah, but my dream one would have that also.
Okay.
And you wouldn't be allowed in it.
Would they do
You're being a
over,
turd.
Fair.
Would you play Over the Top?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because I've seen that and
Yeah,
I've
dude.
experienced that.
Frankly, I'd play like all the Ninja Turtles movies, like all of them, even the third one.
Like your bar, your
Over
dream
and
bar,
over and
Well,
over
at least,
again.
and also Young Frankenstein. I saw that at a bar. I was like, that's a great idea.
your dream bar doesn't have like an infinity pool or
Ew, no. People pee in pools, Aaron. It's
Yeah, they
disgusting.
What? No, they don't.
Yeah, they absolutely do.
Yes, they do. And it turns blue. Oh, wait, the water looks blue because the
That's the
pool's
chlorine.
blue.
That's the chlorine that's meant to.
That's why they call him Blue Water Brian. Anyway,
Sanitize. Wow. All right, moving on. None of us particularly like this movie.
it's fine.
It didn't
Like,
hold up
it's-
very well.
Yeah,
No.
it has moments, but
Yeah.
Frankly, watch Palm Springs.
Hard pass.
Watch Palm Springs. The female lead has a lot more agency. It's a bit more fun.
Yeah. There's not a lot of character growth with the females in this movie. It's all about the single male
There's
character.
zero. Although,
I don't think it passes the Dutch
Although-
test because they only talk about men and
None of the
saving
women talk to
money.
each other.
None of the women talk to each other, so it really doesn't pass
Yeah.
any tests at all. It's
in
very
the movie's
male-focused.
defense, all those other people only have the day. He has 10 years of that day.
Yeah. As always, the opinions expressed during the beginning of this recording of those of the hosts. Please hydrate if you're going to have something to drink while you watch it. If you do watch it, we're kind of split. Maybe yes, no. If you're hard up for something to watch and it's available on a streaming service, go for it. Yeah. If you own it on DVD, I'm sorry. Everyone's laughing because that's true.
Yeah.
I don't have a fun way to say if you don't hydrate, you'll dehydrate. Like I don't have anything.
You've said it 100 times, 132 times. So we know what you mean.
Yeah. I don't remember those.
Yeah.
We're all sharing a very specific Groundhog Day where only bits and pieces work for each of us. That's the sequel no one wants to see.
Correct. So yeah, thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for listening, dear listener. Life's short. If you're thinking about watching Groundhog Day, maybe think about the time you have left on this planet and the better movies you could be spending that time with.
This is Blake for the Checks Watch 10 millionth time saying later.
And this is Brian. If you want to listen, please listen to our podcasts over and over and over
Over
again.
and over. We need listeners.
Yeah,
But it's all
pump
good.
those numbers up.
Yeah.
We have listeners. What are you guys talking about?
We have an amazing Canadian following.
We sure do. You betcha.
We should
Somehow.
watch Shoresy.
Ice hockey and moose forever.
Yeah. All right. Well, hang out, everyone. Have a good time. Listen to some good podcasts. Watch some good movies. Drink some good beer. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
I was falling, why it's almost like being in love.